If you are thinking of switching careers and looking for a new job, you might think that the first thing that you need is to update your resume. Actually, if you start to work on your resume and you are maybe even hiring a professional resume writer, which, by the way, I do recommend, if you go to that person too early, you are going to be wasting a lot of your time, energy, and money. So, today I want to talk to you about when you should update your resume and what is the purpose of a resume and how to use it effectively. So, first, let's talk about when you should update. Let's talk about what a resume is for first. So, a resume basically is, think of it as a door opener, think of it as a tool. It is something that resume experts say that hiring managers and recruiters and HR people will glance at for 30 seconds maximum. Okay. So, a resume is the tool that could open a door for you potentially, but it is really not going to speak for you or convince anybody to hire you. So that's number one. It is not a list of everywhere you've ever been, every job you've ever held, all your experience, all your accomplishments. It is not that. Okay. It is not the purpose of the resume, again, is not a stand in for you. And it is not the thing that is going to win you the interview or win you the job. So that's what it's not. Let's talk about what a resume is. As I said, it's a tool that opens a door and opens a conversation. Now, if you use this tool too early, you may be closing the conversation, right? And the reason for that is you may not have the right information on your resume. What a resume really is something that is going to represent what your value is, what you can bring. And it's really not a whole list of your past. It really, we want to target and we want to point to the future, to the potential that the value that you can bring to your future job. Now, if you're switching careers and you don't know where you're going yet, how can you create a resume that's going to be effective? You cannot. All right. When do you do a resume? Let's talk about the when. You only do your resume and you only approach a professional resume writer when you are clear, when you have 100% clarity on the job, the position, the career, the future, where you want to land. When you have 100% clarity about that, when you know what your value is and where you want to take your skill set and all the experiences you've gained, when you know where you want to take that, when you have a clear path forward, again, when you have 100% clarity, that is when you want to update your resume. Now, let me tell you, because I get a lot of referrals from resume writers and they're pulling out their hair right now, okay? Because if you go to them, many people go to them before they're clear about what they want. The resume writer will often send you a whole sheet and will ask you a lot of questions, and ultimately that person needs to know what is the job, what are the types of jobs that you're applying to. And if you don't know and you just say, I'm switching careers and I know that I don't want to be doing what I'm doing now, if that's all that you give them and you give them your past history and your skills and all of those things, they are not going to put together for you an effective resume. In fact, they're going to probably refer you to me, and that's where I come in. So phase so we don't start with the resume. Phase one, you can guess what phase one is. It's clarity. It's you being 100% clear about the job that you want. Because when you go to a resume writer, you may even take to them the explanation, the job description, and they can help you insert that into your resume and get all the keywords in there and find the way to communicate with the algorithm that is going to find your resume, or you may be uploading it to a platform such as Indeed or one of the job sites. By the way, do not upload a generic resume. Please do not upload one of those onto the platform because that could hurt you in the long run. You are only going to upload and put your resume out there when you're 100% clear of what you want, of what your target is, of the position that you want to land in the career field that you are switching into. Again, resume writers are pulling their hair out because they're saying, what is it that we are writing this for? That's what they want to know first. On my team, when my clients get into, we've done phase one, they're 100% clear, they know their value, they know their skill set, they know what is transferable and where they want to go next. When they know that, that is when in phase two, I have on my team a professional resume writer and a whole team of people who will go through your resume and make sure that it speaks to the position that you want to land. Now, you may be on LinkedIn, and by the way, LinkedIn is going to be a very important asset too that we work on in phase two. Phase one is clarity. When you get to phase two, you can start to, you're going to be networking, you're going to be talking to people, and they might say, hey, send me your resume. And if they do, it's good to have something, or they may have already looked at your LinkedIn profile. So sometimes the resume is simply a formality, honestly, but it does need to target what it is that you want and the value that you bring. So it's not a whole list of your past. In fact, the key word for resumes is that it has to be relevant. It should be relevant, it should be targeted, it should point not only to where you've been and all the things that you've done, it should be pointing to the future and what you can do for a potential employer. That is when you have that type of resume, that is when that resume is going to be a good tool for you. Remember, they're going to look at it for 30 seconds max and then move on. And what's really going to count is when you get into phase three and you get in front of a hiring manager. So, again, phase one is clarity. Phase two is we get your assets together so that it shows people that you're networking with what you want. And phase three is you're actually talking to a hiring manager, a recruiter, an HR person. So let me give you an example of someone who I worked with a while ago. And she was a software salesperson. So she was in the tech industry, she was selling software, but we got 100% clear. We went through all the phases. Phase one, we got her 100% clear about all of the abilities and the skills and things that she was really good at. But most importantly, what was important to her now in her career. She didn't want to stay in sales. She didn't want to be a software. She didn't really resonate with tech. So we got her 100% clear. That's phase one, clarity. When she had the clarity of where she was headed next, she started down the path and she did some volunteer work and she got some things on her resume that showed people where she was headed. And her LinkedIn profile, we updated that. And she started following companies and different people that were involved in the projects that she was most interested in. Now she is a rising star in the healthcare industry. And that's a big leap from software sales to now she is in the healthcare industry. For her, she needed to show on her resume not all her sales ability. Now, that can translate into people, that can translate into I know how to communicate clearly, and I'm a quick learner, and I can talk about highly complex things and communicate those things clearly. Yes, that can be worked into the resume, but you're not going to highlight that position because guess what? It's not relevant. So, my expert on my team always says leave things out that are not relevant to what you want to do in the future. So, when do you do your resume? If you are switching careers, you will not do your resume the first thing. That is going, if you go to a resume expert, they are going to be frustrated. You are going to be frustrated. You are going to spend a lot of time and potentially a lot of money. Getting an expert to do your resume is upwards of $1,000 these days. Just know that you do not want to turn to somebody until you have gone through phase one, which is getting completely clear and, by the way, confident, and you're energized and you know where you're headed. Once you are clear, then you can go to that second phase. And that is where you are going to get your, what I call your assets, right? You're going to get that LinkedIn profile updated. You're going to get your updated resume. And that's where then my clients are ready to talk with the other part of my team, which are the resume experts. And they will fashion and craft for you a beautiful resume that shows people what it is that you can do for them in the future based on all of the things that you've done that are relevant. Keep that word in mind. The updated resume for a new career field needs to be relevant. I want to advise you not to throw your resume out there in a generic way. We are in the time where you can easily copy and paste a specific job that you want. You can take the keywords from that, and resume writers will ask you, give me a job description, and they will insert in part the top area where you're showing your mission statement or your summary or where you're headed. Basically, that statement is could be the job description that you are going for. So when somebody picks that up or the algorithm picks that up, they will single out your resume and say, oh, this person has at least the basics that would fit into this position for what they're looking for. So please do not create a generic resume. We're in a time now where with a click of a button, you can erase a section and add other things. And resume experts will tell you that it needs to be honed, it needs to be polished, it needs to say the right things. And most importantly, it needs to speak to the relevance. Why should they hire you? Not because you have all these different jobs that you've done. You're going to leave some of them off, especially if they're not relevant. But you might take some of the skill sets that you have gotten based on your history. So, like I said, many of the things, the example I gave you about Sarah, she was in software sales. Now she is in healthcare administration and she's doing great. But how did she convince somebody that background was capable of doing these other things? So she had to language that very clearly, but she only was able to do that once she knew where she was going. There was no sense in doing a resume before she knew where she was headed because it would speak to things that she did not want to do. So, if you are seeking resume help, please do not seek that help until you have clarity. Clarity is going to be the key word here. And once you have it, it is going to be much easier for a professional to help you create a polished and, again, clear and relevant document that is going to, remember, it's a tool to open a door, open the conversation. They're going to glance at it, it's going to get through the algorithm, and then it's just a piece of paper, it's just a document. Because what's really going to happen, and this is phase three of passion, purpose, paycheck, and how to transfer and actually switch into a new career. Phase three is when you're in front of somebody, you are talking to somebody, you are having a meaningful, purposeful conversation about why you're interested in that job, why you would love to work for that company. When you're in phase three, you are building your abilities to relate, communicate through you. You've passed through the paper part with the resume, but now you're not, they're not going to hire you based on your resume. They're going to hire you based on how you come across in the interview. Yes, your document does count. It's going to show education and things that are proof that you can do the job, but you are going to be convincing them because you're going to be clear, you're going to have the passion, you're going to show them why they should hire you if that is your dream job. Once again, do not do your resume until you have clarity. So that's it for today. And I really want to hear from you. What are your questions about resumes? And are you trying to do one before you know what job you're looking for? Again, that's going to be a big time waster. So share with me and let me know what questions you have about resumes, and tell me, do you already have one? Do you know where you're headed? And if so, how are you using it? So I appreciate you being here. I'll be back next time. And remember, I'm on the journey with you. This is Patrice Perillo, and take care.